This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris.
Hey, James.
Hello, Mother fans. This is a show where we talk about the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
We are going to ruin this show for you.
By ruin it, of course, we mean we're going to spoil the plot points for the entire series. We're busy getting ready to premiere our podcast in January. In the meantime, we thought we'd dig into our archives and show you some of our early test episodes.
The sound quality might be a little off, and there's possibly a part where my nose whistles.
And a dog barking.
We've come a long way, I would say. And we made this. In the meantime, while you're waiting for our premiere episode, we hope you enjoy this.
That's right. Chris, I picked this episode, and we're going to be watching tonight. It's called Little Minnesota. It's sort of kind of like part of the Robin Sparkles story, just because there's a very interesting mention at the very end of the episode. And this is Season 4, Episode 11. Aired on December 15th, 2008. The last time Robin Sparkles appeared in the series was in April of 2008, so the fans are still pretty familiar with her.
And that would have been Sandcastles?
Yeah, that was Sandcastles. So this episode was written by Chuck Tatum, and he wrote 8 episodes in seasons 4 through 9, including one of my favorites called Dual Citizenship, Season 5.
So he's definitely familiar with the Canada theme and the stereotypes, and maybe even responsible for a few of them that I had not heard of.
Yeah, and I think there's some jokes in this episode that are called back in Dual Citizenship.
Yeah, yes, that we'll get to those in a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like this one was directed by Pam Fryman.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Back to our regular
change.
director.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, Chris, did you know this is the only episode that has this little Minnesota bar called the Walleye Saloon?
Yeah, I figured it was. I wasn't sure if it came back later, but I certainly don't remember it coming back like the Hoser Hut does in several other episodes.
Yeah, and I that's why I was surprised that this was a one-off, because we see the Hoser Hut again. I just assumed that we'd see Little Minnesota again.
I guess
but nope.
Didn't bother. I guess they just have him go back to regular Minnesota when we need a dose of the Erickson family.
Yeah, I guess that's a lot easier.
Right, they have those sets built too. But yeah, I agree. It's a lot of effort to put that bar together to never use it again.
Yeah.
Like a whole set. Let's use this in one episode.
Yeah. And like we said, this is the first time we see the Hoser Hut, which is kind of why I picked it, because it's kind of a fun little Canada tag for the Robin Sparkles thing.
Yeah, we're doing our Robin Sparkles theme based on our viewers' vote.
Yeah.
I also want to say this is the only episode where Heather is on screen. Heather Mosby.
Yeah, that's right.
She's mentioned in other episodes. They pretend that she's in other episodes, but she never appears on screen in any other episode.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of odd, but I guess her story really wasn't important.
And I'm not sure how the audience reacted. Maybe they didn't care. They weren't like, bring back more Heather. We want Heather and Barney to hook up. You know, we need to see that happen. Maybe none of that happened, and they're just like, yeah, just forget it.
You know, I wonder if people were confused, as I was, is because Robin's younger sister is also dark hair and kind of a punk, and so it's like, who's this girl again? Whose sister is it?
Right, it's Katie Scherbatsky.
Yeah.
No, it's Heather Mosby.
Right.
It's actually, Katie's quite a bit more reliable and doesn't get into quite as much trouble.
Yeah. So maybe people just didn't like the character. I don't like Heather Mosby, so... But we'll get into Heather Mosby. Did she have any other only episodes or first episodes?
Nope. I had a continuity, which is that Lily is not good at keeping a secret. That comes up.
Yeah.
That comes up a lot in other episodes, and even as early as season 2, I can remember her not being able to keep a secret. I mean, I guess that's not entirely fair because she's the slapback commissioner, and so she kind of has to not keep a secret, but she wasn't very good at keeping it.
Yeah, and then there's a dramatic scene in the season 9, or I think it's season 9, where she reveals that she's been keeping a pregnancy secret. The second Erickson child, I believe.
Yeah, Daisy.
Yes.
Yes, she was able to keep the secret for the better part of the 9th season, which, while that sounds like a long time, that was only two days that she kept the secret. So that's really, very impressive, Lily, that you kept a secret for 2 days. I'm very proud.
Yeah. Also revealed in season 9 is this story about Barney and Ted's mom. It starts in this episode, and they revisit it again and again.
Is this the origin of that? I know it happens in the episode, but okay.
I think so.
Okay.
So, I could be wrong. And also, I can't believe this is true. This is the first episode that establishes Marshal's fandom of the Vikings.
That does not sound believable, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah, that's what I found out. So.
Yeah, I guess I can't really say if there's anything else. Nope, nothing comes to mind. And also, being season 4, this is still kind of early in the series, if you can imagine that, having 9 seasons, though. It definitely becomes a big deal later on when we get to see more of the Ericksons and when the Marshal's father passes away and he goes to watch the Vikings game at the cemetery. He's driving through Packers country, and Daphne gets him in trouble, and he has to wear the cheese head.
Forced to wear the cheese hat. Yeah.
Yes, it looks like he's disappointed his father. It's a very, very sad moment.
Hey folks, James here breaking in. Back when we first started this, we had a commentary track that we expect you to sync up with your Netflix or DVD. And since we had a lot of our fans say that they weren't really ready to do that, we decided to cut that out. And what you'll hear next is our post-commentary discussion.
Terrifying hockey mask.
Yeah, right? I guess no one will be able to recognize her.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have blonde hair anymore or her graffiti coat, so they might not recognize her.
Yeah, I would actually be surprised if anyone recognized Robin Sparkles.
It's true. Also, even though they imply there that everybody knows the song, she does make it out to be like it was a pretty minor hit, so I don't know if people would recognize her. They clearly do know the song in this episode, or that's how Ted remembers it. There's another one of your, from his perspective, everybody there sang along. It could have just been Marshall up there singing by himself and everybody at the Hoser Hut not caring.
Yeah. So as far as, wrapping this episode up, we'll go through what the characters were doing in each episode, but just in summary, Heather Mosby's little trick to gain Ted's confidence, we're just, there's disagreement on whether or not that was realistic or believable or not, but the Robin at the bar story, she's basically going back to her past again to feel comfort, and seems like that's a lesson she's learned to avoid in previous episodes of the series, but now she's sort of doing it again. Especially when she was telling the NFC father story as if it was her own. I think that was indulging a little bit too much in a fantasy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's I'm not exactly sure why she's going through a hard time in this episode because we didn't watch the one before, but yeah, she definitely seems to want some comfort, some things that remind her of Canada, and she had Fisherman's Quest too. And
yeah, and the mini burgers and the guys. She liked the guys there more. So
right, they're more manly.
There's a lot of reasons for her to to want to be there. Oddly, I'd say this is an odd pairing because this is a Marshall and Robin episode, which they actually do an episode later about how awkward that coupling is. But here they spend a lot of screen time together, and they don't seem to have any awkwardness at all.
No, it's not awkward, and yeah, I know the episodes you're talking about where it is awkward, and even I think it's later on in this disc even where they have the Days of Snow, where they pair them up again. And it is unusual. They don't normally pair them together. I don't know if that was like an on-screen lack of chemistry or something. They did fine in this episode, but it is very rare for a Marshall and Robin story.
Yeah, and they had to come up with this reason for Marshall cheering her up. But based on how he kind of flipped out after the Fisherman's Quest score incident, maybe they decided that, Marshall, you're not the best at cheering Robin up. Let's let Lily take a shot at it first.
Yeah. And also, and if you think about like what all the characters are doing in this episode, it really only left Marshall and Robin out. Because Lily's the one that can't keep the secret, and she's trying to be helpful to Ted to spy on them. Barney and Heather are having their thing where Barney's trying to help her get a job. And they're also pretending to have sex together. And then there's Ted being Ted, not wanting that to happen and not believing that anybody's changing. And so then, like, well, who's left? Then you can either try to cram Robin and Marshall into that story, or you can give them their own. And I'm glad that they did. But we were talking about this before we started doing the commentary portion. Is that I think there's a reason why it's called Little Minnesota and not like Heather Mosby Comes to Town, because it's certainly the much more fun part of the story.
Yes. So, Chris, that's all I've got about this episode. It's a fun episode, kind of a short one for me in terms of, have my thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, I got some thoughts when we close out, but first I wanted to do another Chris's Life Lessons from How I Met Your Mother. In this episode, Robin is a little homesick, so Marshall takes her to the Walleye Saloon. Though it's fun at first, she quickly realizes that she has to lie to fit in there. In life, this can have less humorous consequences. If you pretend to be something you're not, you'll eventually be found out. It's better to find your own hoser hut, a place where you can be yourself, and a place that accepts your friend in the Vikings jersey, even if he accidentally turns off the lights. And this has been another Chris's Life Lessons from How I Met Your Mother.
All right, great, Chris. Thanks so much for those. I've been really enjoying these episodes, and I want to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up next. We've got the return of Robin Sparkles with her co-star Jessica Glitter in a Season 6 episode, Glitter, which also has good old Punchy in it.
Ah, yeah, a punchy Robin Sparkles connection there. The robot will be back, as he is in every Robin Sparkles video or thing. Yeah, that's the one where they have the Canadian kids show that's basically porn, right?
Yeah, it's the horrible puns and coincidences that the rest of the group interpret sexually that Robin insists are completely benign.
Like the one where she's jumping up and down because the ship is experiencing turbulence?
Yes, and then there's some sort of spaceship control that resembles anatomy.
Yeah, and they both have their hands on it, and they're swinging it to and fro, and they're doing math, and some of the math numbers are also a little dirty. Yeah, that one. So we'll be doing that one next?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you remember it.
I do remember that episode. Also, 2 beavers are better than 1.
That's right. And a last word, Chris?
Yeah, I want to know what the audience thinks about Heather Mosby. So post your things there. Also, question to the audience and then to you, James, as we head out. Would it have been so bad if Heather and Barney had slept together? So, curious what the audience thinks.
They'd have super babies.
See, there you go. You're on board.
Sure.
Yeah, they'd be very, very attractive.
Would they be blonde or brunette?
I don't know.
One of each.
Maybe one of each.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about it. Like, I know Ted's upset about it, and I don't have a sister.
So that's how we feel about this episode. How do you feel about this episode? Did we miss anything? What do you think about my crazy theories? Did we get anything wrong? Let us know by emailing us at HIMYMSuperfans@gmail.com. And if you want a little bit more, go ahead and find us on Facebook. We'll post some stuff on our HIMYM Superfans group page. We'll have some updates, some pictures, different types of fish, stuff like that.
Different types of fish.
That's it for this week, folks. You've been listening to How I Met Your Mother Superfans.
And James and I get so much out of discussing the episode. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope you enjoy it too.
We'll see you next week.